Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate Day 541, September the 7th, 2018, Friday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Well, yesterday was unfortunately another failed upload. I used to not have hardly any failed uploads. Lately I've had a couple more than I would like, and I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Of course, I have Spectrum, which even though my bill comes and it says Spectrum, it says make your check payable to Time Warner. So I don't know if I have Spectrum or Time Warner. I don't know what we got. But all I know is that in the past, I don't know, it's been the past 3 weeks maybe or so, maybe a little longer, that we keep getting these interruptions in internet services. Sometimes it's only for like a minute or 2 minutes or 5 minutes. It's not long interruptions, but it's just, you know, it's becoming almost every day it seems like we're getting those. And as you know, when you're uploading a YouTube video, if you lose connection for 1 second, that video stops uploading. So I get up yesterday morning and I get on my computer, and normally it's my video's uploaded. I just press publish, it goes live. I go to work. So I get up the other morning, it's only like 7% uploaded, which means that at some point it lost connection for a couple seconds or whatever. And once it comes back, you know, once your connection comes back, it doesn't go back to reloading your video. It's done. It stops. You have to completely start over, and it won't automatically do that for you. So it's very frustrating. I talked to my mom because she's also got Spectrum, and she said she too is noticing those little, you know, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, little loss of connection, and it's happening a couple times a day sometimes. It's getting really bad. I don't have time to sit on the phone with Spectrum and debate these things, but I asked my mom. She goes, oh yeah, I called them, and they said that they're making transitions, and there's things going on from the transition, and they're having issues. They're trying to work out the bugs, but in the meantime, they're really angering me because I make a very strong effort every day to do these videos. When I wake up and that video is not uploaded, I'm not happy. It ruins my day. It ruins a lot of your day. I know a lot of you people count on watching my videos every day, and I sit here and go to the effort to do the research and make the video, and then the damn thing doesn't upload. I'm not very happy. So I don't know what's going on. We also had a bunch of thunderstorms the last 2 days. We've had a lot of strong storms coming through, and it may have been weather related. It may have been just the typical type of interruptions we've been getting. I don't know, but I'm not happy about it. So now today I got to squeeze in 2 days worth of material in 1 day, which I don't like doing. So anyway, let's get started. That's what's going on. Okay, so a couple days ago, quite a few people left links for me for the Tracy Bean's interview with, not so much an interview, but she posted a video on her site of this female radio personality down in Florida named Ann Vandersteel, and she was interviewing these two intel officers. They don't say exactly what agencies they're from, but they just say that they're intel officers, and they say they're current intel officers. Their names are Robert Kerry and Joshua Messias. So basically, to give you the long and short of it, I think that if you're interested in it's actually worth watching. It's about 45-minute long interview, maybe a little longer than that. And Tracy Beans has a link on her video from day before yesterday. It would have been Wednesday's video. There's a link right there in her description box you can click on, or you can just Google Ann Vandersteel, and I think you can probably find the link to it. You can watch the interview. So it's an interview with these two intel officers, and basically what they're saying is that and again, I can't go through the whole, they say a lot of things. I'm just going to cover the main points, and you can watch the video if you would like to do that. So these two guys, Robert Kerry and Joshua Messias, are saying that they are two of 121 members of various government agencies who are going to come out and go public and give their names, show you their faces, and they're going to talk about everything they know about the Spygate situation that was going on during the 2016 elections. Their members, they say, come from the DOJ, the FBI, the IRS, the DOD, the ONI, the CIA, the NSC, the NSA, and some federal judges. Okay, so they're all going to come forward to speak and tell everything they know about Spygate. They are also saying that they're going to upload, they're going to go live on Friday with 2 websites. That will be today as you're watching this video. They're saying that they're going to have 2 websites up. One will be called reportforthepresident.com, and the other will be votertruth.com. Well, they're .com, they're commercial sites. Maybe they're getting ready to launch these sites. They're going to make some money. Who knows? Who knows what's behind it, okay? But they seem pretty legitimate, and they don't really drop a whole lot of new information. They just give details about things we've already known. And they claim to have a lot more information, and that we'll find it on these sites. The one we would be looking at, of course, is votertruth.com. The other one, the reportforthepresident.com, is going to have some sort of a special key encryption for the president himself, so that he can be the only one that accesses it, and that he will be able to see this information that they're going to put out, which comes from all these various intelligence people who are part of this, the 121 of them. So they're talking about the fact that they're going to be able to blow the Spygate story wide open with the information they give. Now, one of the most interesting pieces of information that I think came from them was that this one guy, the Robert Caron, he says that he received a phone call on November 1st, and he was dispatched to, I believe he said, New York, where he, along with a couple other intelligence people, briefed a high-level member of the Trump administration and told high-level members of the Trump team, or a high-level member of the Trump team, on November the 1st, just a week before the election, that there were 3 known spies who had been put into his campaign, and they named them. And one of them that they named was Stefan Halper. Stefan Halper. So apparently Trump, or someone at the highest levels of his campaign on November 1st of 2016, knew about Stefan Halper, according to these 2 intelligence officers. They also say that this small little agency buried within the Department of Defense that Halper was working for and was being paid by, and we understand it's somewhere around $1.4 million he was being paid to write these research papers, which is a problem to itself and is being investigated due to a whistleblower and some other things that are going on. Sarah Carter's been covering that story. Many of you are aware of that. We talked about it here. We're not going to go into there at this point. But so what these guys are saying is that this was actually directed by the FBI. We can assume that would be the counterintelligence of the FBI. That they put Stefan Halper as cover into this small agency within the Department of Defense as cover, so that they could pay him all this money so that he could conduct his spy operations for them. So essentially, that whole thing was a cover for Stefan Halper, which a lot of us have assumed that anyway, so that makes a lot of sense. They also say that they have, these 2 intelligence officers also say that they have spoken to Congress, the congressional committees doing the investigation. They say that they have spoken to Inspector General Huckleberry Horowitz. So this is the long and short of this interview with Miss Vandersteel. Now, as most of you know, I'm pretty skeptical about most things. The thing that I'm most skeptical about is with the bombshell information that they claim to have and that they're going to drop on us today as you're watching this video on Friday. You got to wonder why they didn't go to take this information to someone like Sarah Carter or Paul Sperry or Sean Hannity or someone else, someone really major who's got, you know, a big stage. Because quite honestly, and this is not meant to disrespect Miss Vandersteel, but I've never heard of Miss Vandersteel. I bet if you go up and ask 100 people who Miss Vandersteel is, they have no idea. She's a radio talk show host. She's on some small network, obviously. She's out of Florida. But why, with all this bombshell information? I mean, if they'd have contacted Sarah Carter, I'm sure they would have been very interested in her information. Hey, maybe she's already interviewed them. Maybe she already knows them. Who knows? But why would they go to someone who is such a low level of someone who's so little known? Why would they go to her instead of someone who's got major national, appeal, like a Sarah Carter or a Sean Hannity or something like that? So I'm a little skeptical because of that. I mean, they went awfully low on the bar there for such bombshell information that they claim to have. So we will just have to see if this materializes. Certainly, I'll be at work as you're watching this video, but if you're home right now watching this video, you might want to see if you can Google up this website, Voter Truth, VOTERTRUTH, votertruth.com. See if the website's up. See what's there. I'll be checking it out when I get home from work. So there you go. So that's my thoughts on the link that Tracy Beans left. She's really excited about it. You know, if it's all true and it's all cool, then yeah, that'll be very exciting. I'll be happy to hear it. The more the better, you know. I'm all for it. But let's see what happens. Okay, so we've had 2 days now since I've been with you on the Kavanaugh situation. Day 3 wasn't quite as ridiculous as day 2, but day 2 was a continuation of the freak show with 63 interruptions. And of course we know now that little Dickie Turban, along with Chuck the Cuck Schumer, are the two main people that were behind this, that put this whole circus act together. We also know that some of these individuals who got thrown out walked out, and then they went to this small, like, grassy area, like a little park area maybe with some trees or something, where some guy was passing out money to them. So apparently these people were bought and paid for circus clowns brought in to disrupt the hearings. Now, we know that little Dickie Turban and Chuck the Cuck are behind this, but we also know that Elizabeth Warren had some people there. We know that Turn In Your Guns, Mr. and Mrs. America Feinstein had some people there. So this is just a Democratic freak show. Paid mental patients, paid to come in and create problems and obstruct the system. This is how we elect our Supreme Court justices. All those Democrats, they can sit there and ask all the questions they want. That's fine. That's what we do. But what you can't do is sponsor, organize, and especially pay mentally ill people to come in and completely disrupt our process. That's not what you can do. That's not what we do. But that's what they are doing because they're nuts. And as I said in the previous video, they've got it all on the line. It's all on the line. It's much bigger than them just opposing Kavanaugh. They know he's totally qualified. They know they don't have the votes to stop him. So it's all a freak show anyway. But the fact of the matter is, the reason they're so unhinged, it's not just because Trump wants to build a wall, or Trump wants tax cuts, or Trump calls out the media, or says, tweets out how he really feels about things. It's not even about any of his policies or any of that. What it is all about is the fact that these Democrats know what happened in 2016. They know that they ran a frame-up operation, and then not just as Trump as a candidate, but as a president. And then, of course, they had to bring in the deep state folks to try to cover it all up. And they know that they're complicit in this massive, massive criminal conspiracy. Not just the Democrat politicians who were well aware of what was going on, but a lot of their allies, people within the DNC, people, even outside the political process. And of course, not to mention the media. There's an awful lot of people with an awful lot of skin in the game who are about to be skinned to death. They know what's coming. They know if they don't stop Trump, then after the midterms, it's all going to come out. And the Democrats, the Obama legacy will be destroyed. The Democratic Party will be destroyed. The left-wing media will be destroyed. All their friends and allies who participated and cooperated in the coup, they will all be destroyed. They know what's coming. They know how big this is. This is what it's about. It's not just Kavanaugh. It's not Trump's policies. It's what they did in 2016 that they are about to be caught for, and the unbelievable consequences, negative consequences coming to that party and all those who participated. Obama's legacy will be destroyed. He will go down as history as the worst president in history because of what he did. Right along with the rotten Reverend Clinton, right along with a lot of Democrats, a lot of people, the DNC, all participants, the media. I'm telling you folks, that's why they're nutty. It's not because of policies and Trump's tweets. It's because they know what they did, and they know they're about to be caught. And they know the damage is going to be absolutely devastating. It could be, the Democrats could be out of power for 20 years because of this. Many of them will have to resign. They'll have to completely redo the Democratic Party. It will be destroyed, and Obama's legacy along with it. That's why they're nuts. I mean, it's perfectly understandable why they're nuts. They know what's coming, and it has nothing to do with a border wall and a tweet or a judge. It's because of what they did and the fact they know they're about to be caught. Well, we have John F. and Kerry, who, by the way, served in Vietnam, who said that on The View that there's a reason that Trump wasn't invited to Senator Magoo's funeral. Well, he probably wouldn't have went anyway. It's not like they were buddies, right? I mean, Magoo was deeply involved in the coup against Trump, and we've covered all that before. He was involved in helping set up the Trump Tower meeting. He was involved with the IRS scandal and involved in many, many, many other things over the years. We've been through the whole list with Senator Magoo. And Kerry also says, while sitting there on The View, he was defending the Iran deal. John F. and Kerry, who, by the way, served in Vietnam, he knows he's going to find a friendly audience on The View, a bunch of idiots who are not going to challenge him or question him on anything, really. So, and of course, we hear a lot of talk that he may run for president in 2020. I certainly hope he does. He couldn't beat Bush. I'm sure they got them Swift boat ads, ready to go. They just have to re-roll those again. And those were devastating. We know all about John F. and Kerry, who, by the way, did serve in Vietnam. We know all about John F. and Kerry. And by the way, something he may want to take stock of, you're a white male, John F. and Kerry, and you think you're going to get the Democratic nomination in 2020? In case you haven't noticed, your party doesn't allow white males anymore. No. There will be no white males from a corrupt political family, from the establishment. You're not going to be acceptable to the Democratic Party in 2020, John. Go back to Vietnam. Go over to Vietnam. Maybe Patrick will buy you a beer and then kick your ass out the door on the way. That's right. Patrick's over in Vietnam. We'll be watching those New Hampshire races for you, Patrick. I promise. Yes, that's right. John F. and Kerry. What a disaster. Go on The View. You won't see him on the Fox. He wouldn't do an interview with me. I promise you that. Loves that Iran deal. And thinks we care about Trump, why Trump wasn't invited. You don't need to tell us why Trump wasn't invited to the funeral of Senator Magoo. I think it's pretty obvious, John. Of course, everybody's talking about this New York Times publishing this op-ed about this individual, this author, who claims to be a senior official in the Trump campaign. And of course, he's bragging about being a saboteur. He says there are dozens of others there trying to do the same inside the Trump administration. Of course, Mike Cernovich believes it's H.R. McMaster. Some people believe it's Reince Priebus. It really doesn't matter, really. First of all, I don't know what to think about this, but I'd say there's about a 90% chance that it's not even someone in the Trump administration, or certainly not a Trump appointee. Maybe someone in the bureaucracy who works on the staff of someone that he appointed, but certainly not one of his appointees, I don't think. Not currently. It could have been McMaster. It could have been Priebus, but the people he has currently around him now, of his top tier people, political appointees, I don't really think it would be one of them. And for all I know, it's the damn New York Times, one of the editors of the New York Times. It could be Glenn Simpson of Confusion GPS. It could be one of the rotten Reverend Clinton's friends like Cody Shearer. It could be anybody, a friend of Senator Magoo. It could be anybody. Anybody. But the fact that the New York Times have published some garbage like this, can you imagine if a conservative program, Fox or anyone else, a conservative news organization would have run a story like this when Obama was president, or if the rotten Reverend Clinton was president, or hell, even if Bush was president? This is despicable by the New York Times. This is just beyond. I mean, they've gone too far this time. This is just absolutely unbelievable that the New York Times would publish some garbage like this. Absolutely unbelievable. Do you think they would have published something like that with Obama? Don't you think that there were people within the Obama administration, staffers left over from the Bush years, that didn't like the things he was doing? I mean, this is just unbelievable. The New York Times is just despicable. And you know what? The end result of this is it'll probably backfire like everything else. This only angers Trump supporters even more, and probably will help get them out to vote even more. And I don't think they're going to need a lot of encouragement. I think Trump supporters are dying to vote. They can't wait for the midterms to vote. This is just absolutely despicable on the part of the New York Times. So now the Trump administration, they're going to try to find out who this mole is, who this person is. And if they find him, they should very quietly discover who he is and then very quietly make sure he disappears, or she. This is the kind of stuff that, this is treason. This is bad news here. We don't hang people anymore. But this is a real issue. I know if it were me and I was working for the president and one of his special security people, I would just say, Mr. President, we'll find out who this is and we'll take care of the problem. And you won't have to worry about it anymore. And I would take care of the problem, believe me. This person will not be writing any more op-eds. But again, it could be Fusion GPS. Who knows? Who knows? Despicable. Absolutely despicable. We're seeing a lot of firsts. I've never seen anything like this. It's the deep state. And again, this is desperation. This is desperation time. You don't do stuff like this unless you're absolutely freaking out, desperate. They know that they know that they're about to be exposed. They know that the crimes that they committed are going to be exposed. A lot of them are going to jail. Many of them will just have their careers ruined. Many will be very embarrassed. Their lives will be ruined. It's all coming out, and that's why we're seeing this type of crap right here. That's why. I'm telling you. That's why. It's not because of Trump's policies. It's not because of his tweets. It's not because of any of that. It's because of what they did and the fact they know they're going to get caught. It's totally personal. It's about them. It's not about Trump. Not about me or you. It's about them and the shitstorm that's coming their way for what they did. Well, it appears that a grand jury has been convened for Andrew McCabe, and this was done several months ago. And they have interviewed several witnesses. We don't know who they are. We can assume one was Comey, because one of the lies he told, of the 3 or 4 lies he told, was to Comey, if you believe Comey, which I don't. I think they're both lying. So what did McCabe say? He said when they fired him and when they walked him out of his office, he said, hey, he screamed at a bunch of people and said, if you, scapegoat me, essentially. I don't know if he used the word, but essentially he was saying, if you scapegoat me for all this, I'm going to burn the whole effing thing down. So I think this has been the reason why I think for the longest time they haven't really tried to indict or investigate McCabe for this, because they're terrified that he's going to do exactly what he said, that he's going to drop the dime on everybody. So now we know that there is a grand jury that has been convened. They're looking into possibly indicting McCabe. Doesn't mean they will, but they got a grand jury. They are interviewing witnesses. We know he lied 3 or 4 times under oath, and we know what he was lying about and what he did. And we know all the other things he was involved in, which you're probably learning about as well. So let's see if McCabe actually sticks to what he said. Let's just see that if he's indicted, if he steps forward and says, okay, I'm going to cut a deal. All those people turned on me. Now I'm going to drop all these names. I'm going to drop it all. So maybe this will be the thing that forces McCabe to be the first major whistleblower on the inside that decides to turn. We'll have to watch and see. Of course, if you had any doubt, as I've said many times now, that after the midterms, Trump's taken off the gloves and he's taken down the deep state, 2 tweets will tell you exactly what I'm talking about. Trump tweeted out that he may declassify the DOJ and the FISA documents. He's been asked many times by members of Congress, the Freedom Caucus. They just sent him a letter today requesting he do that, or Thursday they sent him a letter requesting he do that. And he also sent out a tweet saying, don't worry, we will win. Don't worry, we will win. I'm telling you, he's got a plan. He knows what he's doing. As soon as the midterm's over, I'm telling you, he is going to drop the hammer. He is going to drop the hammer. We also had Joe DeGeneva going on Fox News and saying that Rodenstein is also under investigation over his FISA warrant, signing the FISA warrant. And apparently, from what DeGeneva said, he's not permanently being permitted to sign off on any FISA warrants because he's being investigated for his role in signing off on that final renewal which we know was horribly corrupt, right along with the original and the other 2 renewals. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. We have Sarah Carter 2 days ago saying that Trump will declassify the redacted 20 pages of the Carter Page FISA documents. And apparently that's supposed to happen by the end of the week. We'll find out. That would be today, Friday. Maybe it'll happen over the weekend. I've been hearing that he was going to do it after the Kavanaugh hearings are over. And once Kavanaugh has been essentially confirmed, or at least once the hearings are over, that's what I've been hearing, is he's going to do it after the Kavanaugh hearings are over. He's going to declassify these 20 pages, which I understand are very devastating for 2 reasons, is what I'm hearing. 2 reasons. One being that they illustrate that or prove that Andrew Weissman, one of Uncle Bob the Executioner's, his main pit bull, his main investigator, Andrew Weissman, was kept aware of everything from the very beginning. This guy's been in the game for a very long time, not just since he came on board with Mueller, but even prior to that. He was being briefed by Bruce Orr, and maybe even by Fusion GPS, maybe other people, but we're going to find out, is what we're being told in these 20 pages, that Andrew Weissman is deeply connected with the dossier and the investigation before he joined Mueller. And if that's the case, that entire investigation is poisoned. It already is, but this would just prove it. And we're also learning that there's a lot of information in these 20 pages that would be viewed as kind of exculpatory evidence that would disprove Trump-Russia collusion, and that's what also is going to be learned here, and why it's so devastating. Hopefully it's not totally redacted, because I understand there's some names that are dropped in here that are quite alarming. But apparently these 20 pages are extremely important. Nunes seems to think that they'd have major impact. Meadows and Jordan said they would have major impact. Ratcliffe has seen them. John Ratcliffe has read every word, unredacted. And he says, yeah, people will be getting lawyers. So we will see exactly what happens with that. We also have Jordan and those guys. Jordan, Zeldin, Gates, Meadows, of course, sent that letter to Trump on yesterday. They're asking him to declassify and release all the 302s from Bruce Orr. They said that would also be very informative, that people should know what went on there. There's nothing really classified. It's just, Bruce Orr being debriefed and telling the FBI everything he knows about his conversations with Steele and Glenn Simpson, of which he had over 80 contacts with them. And in fact, apparently what we're going to learn is that Bruce Orr was saying, hey, this guy Christopher Steele, you shouldn't really be using him as a source. He's pretty biased. And oh, by the way, he doesn't really back up anything. He can't really back up anything he's saying. Oh, and by the way, the whole thing isn't very credible. The dossier, I don't think it's very credible. So apparently this is what we learn in these 302s. And so hopefully that they'll be released and totally unredacted. So yes, President Trump released the 20 pages of the FISA on Carter Page, declassify all those 302s, and go ahead and declassify the entire Mueller investigation documents as soon as he wraps that shit show up. That's what I would recommend, Mr. President. Well, we now have Uncle Bob the Executioner sending a subpoena to Jerome Corsi. Jerome Corsi doesn't know anything. So, this is clearly he's going after Roger Stone. Roger Stone and Corsi are friends. They work together at InfoWars. It's just a matter of time before they subpoena Alex Jones and Paul Joseph Watson and the whole 9 yards. So this witch hunt's just become ridiculous at this point. So I don't really know I don't think to get anything out of Corsi. I don't think he knows anything. Stone doesn't know anything. Stone, I like Roger Stone, but he's a big talker, and he likes to make himself feel, look more important than he is, or closer to Trump than he really is, or whatever. And that's cool. I get all that. It's part of his shtick or whatever. It's cool. I basically like Roger Stone, but no serious. If you weren't looking into a serious Russia investigation, you wouldn't even be looking at a guy like Roger Stone. The Russians wouldn't take him seriously or deal with him. WikiLeaks, Julian Assange. He doesn't use he doesn't use anybody like that. Roger Stone is not. you know, he's just not in the mix of the type of things that WikiLeaks does and the people they deal with, and it's just ridiculous, and it's a shame. And Uncle Bob just needs to be shut down, man, a long time ago, and prosecuted for his role in the crimes, which I believe he very likely could be. Judicial Watch is telling us, of course, that Peter's been stroking us is the one who authorized the initial draft of the Comey letter to Congress about the Wiener laptop. Yeah, I mean, I think we knew that. Maybe I assume we knew that. I guess he's now got the documentation to prove it. But Peter's been stroking us wasn't the last person to actually have his hands on that or have some influence on the Comey letter. We know that Peter's been stroking us did, because he was McCabe kind of tossed it to Peter's been stroking us. Here, you're working on all this other stuff. Here, take the Wiener laptop too. And so Peter's been stroking us probably gave his spin on it from the intelligence side, the counterintelligence side, to help save the rotten Reverend Clinton. But the last two eyes that were on the Comey memo before it went back to Comey and he signed it and sent it to the Congress, the last two sets of eyes were actually this Sally Mueller and Trish Gauhar, these two lawyers, senior top lawyers at the DOJ. These two female lawyers were the two last people who worked over the Comey letter before it went back to Comey. He signed it and sent it to Congress. We know that from the IG report release of his the Inspector Huckleberry Horowitz investigation, the IG. That was all there in texts. Dan Bongino. I love Dan Bongino, and I'm very happy to report that he is finally talking about the 99-page FISA court documents. He finally discovered it. Man, oh man, I was leaving comments on his comment section, trying to email him. Other people I know watch my channel have been trying to get to Dan Bongino, because, you know, Dan Bongino appears on Fox News probably 3, 4, 5 times a week. 3, 4, 5 times a week. I'm not on Fox News. So now that Dan Bongino has discovered the FISA abuse, and he's discovered the private contractors accessing the database in the fall of 2015, the same exact time we now know that Nellie Orr went to work for Confusion GPS, is the same time all these people were accessing the database illegally, and we know there were at least a dozen or so, because the names are all redacted in the 99-page FISA court document from Judge Collier. So now Dan Bongino has finally discovered, I was talking about this, as you know, as many of you know, a year ago, last October, actually, 11 months ago, is when I started talking about the 99-page FISA court document by Judge Collier and the illegal access into the NSA database by private contractors. So he is now talking about that. Fantastic. You're 50% of the way there, Dan. God bless you. Now, if you want to get the rest of the way there, the other thing I've been trying to get him to talk about was Mr. Potato Head, John Brennan, and his secret task force. Because, as I've said before, if you look into the 99-page FISA court document, the illegal queries, 702 queries going on through the NSA database via the FBI in the fall of 2015, if you take that and you take a look at the multi-agency task force set up by Mr. Potato Head, you put those two things together, they lead you everywhere. They open all the rest of the doors of everything we're talking about, and they were the origins. That was the origin of when all this stuff got set into motion. So yes, Dan Bongino is now finally talking about the illegal 702 queries and all about that. And hopefully in the very near future, he will start talking about the other part of that, which is the secret task force set up by Mr. Potato Head. Thank you so much for tuning in. I sure as hell hope this video uploads. I look forward to being back with you tomorrow on Saturday for the early edition, weekend edition. Thanks so much for tuning in. You guys have a good night. Thanks so much. Bye.